My screen flashes red at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. The words "access revoked" blink across my monitor like a neon warning sign. My coffee cup freezes halfway to my mouth. I try refreshing. Nothing. I try logging out and back in. Still nothing. My database access, the one I've used every single day for 3 years, is just gone. Before I can even stand up, Colton's office door swings open. He strides onto the floor with that fake concerned look he does so well. "Everyone, I need your attention," he announces loudly. My stomach drops. We've discovered some irregularities with sensitive data access. Mark's credentials have been temporarily suspended while we investigate potential tampering. The entire office goes silent. 30 pairs of eyes turn toward me. My face burns hot. Sarah from accounting looks shocked. Ben from sales actually gasps. I want to disappear into my chair. Colton stands there, arms crossed, looking like some righteous protector of company secrets. But I catch it, that tiny smirk at the corner of his mouth. This isn't about security. This is about something else entirely. Colton walks over to my desk. Everyone's still watching, pretending to work, but obviously listening. He leans down close, one hand on my desk like he's being supportive. To everyone else, it probably looks like he's offering comfort. But his voice drops to a whisper only I can hear. "You're done here, Mark," he hisses. His breath smells like mint gum and coffee. "I gave you chances. You didn't take them. Now you'll learn what happens when you don't play along." My hand starts shaking. Not from fear, from pure anger. The insult of it all. The public humiliation. The lies. I clench my fists under the desk so no one could see. Colton straightens up, pats my shoulder in this condescending way, and announces, "Mark, why don't you take the rest of the day off? We'll sort this out." It's not a suggestion. It's a command. And he knows it. He thinks he's already won. He thinks I'm finished. As I pack my laptop into my bag with trembling fingers, I can feel everyone's stares burning into my back. I should probably introduce myself properly. My name is Mark Chun, and I'm a data analyst at Meridian Solutions. At least, I was until about 20 minutes ago. I'm the guy who sits in the corner with 2 monitors and a plant that somehow stays alive. I'm 32 years old. I've worked here for 3 years, and I'm the person everyone forgets about until their project crashes. I'm not loud. I'm not flashy. I don't play office politics or network at happy hours. I just do my work, do it well, and go home. My specialty is building data architectures that actually make sense, systems that don't fall apart the moment someone asks a complicated question. I'm good at what I do. Really good. But I never make a big deal about it. That's probably why Colton thought I'd be easy to push around. Quiet equals weak in his mind. Dependable equals disposable. He saw me as someone he could erase without consequences. What he didn't know, what nobody knew, was that being quiet doesn't mean being powerless. It just means I watch. I listen. And I prepare. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. The sign started about 2 months ago, subtle at first. Colton stopped CCing me on project emails. Then I noticed I wasn't invited to the Thursday planning meetings anymore. When I asked about it, he said they were just high-level strategy sessions that didn't need my input yet. Then my project updates started getting redirected. I'd send a report, and Colton would forward it with his own summary attached, taking credit for insights I'd spent hours developing. He'd stand in presentations showing my charts and graphs, saying we discovered and our team found, but never mentioning my name specifically. His buddy Dixon got promoted to senior analyst last month. Dixon, who couldn't write a SQL query without 3 syntax errors. Suddenly Dixon was Colton's right-hand man, attending meetings I used to lead. Colton called it streamlining the team structure. I called it getting pushed out, but I kept my head down and kept working, thinking it would blow over. I didn't realize he was setting up something much bigger. The project that changed everything was called Project Eclipse. It started 8 months ago as my baby, a complete overhaul of our customer data architecture. The old system was a mess, held together with duct tape and prayers. Queries took forever. Reports crashed constantly. Clients complained about delayed insights. I spent 4 months designing the new framework from scratch. I mapped every data flow, optimized every query, built automated validation checks. I worked late nights and weekends, surviving on coffee and determination. When it finally went live, query times dropped by 70%. The executive team was thrilled. We landed 2 major contracts because of it. That's when Colton's behavior changed. Suddenly, he was very interested in Eclipse. He started asking detailed questions about the architecture. He requested documentation of every process. He wanted access to all my development notes. At the time, I thought he was just doing his job as manager, learning the system. I was wrong. He wasn't learning it. He was planning to claim it as his own. And to do that, he needed me gone. 3 weeks ago, files started disappearing. Nothing huge at first, just a few development documents from our shared drive. I'd look for a specification sheet I knew I'd saved, and it would be gone. Configuration files I needed would vanish overnight. Query templates I'd built would simply not exist anymore. I mentioned it to Colton in our one-on-one meeting. Some of my Eclipse files seemed to be missing, I said carefully. He frowned, acting concerned. Really? That's strange. Could be system glitches. You know how buggy the network's been lately. He made a note on his pad. I'll put in an IT ticket. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. So I waited. The IT ticket never came. More files kept disappearing. Scripts I'd written. Documentation I'd created. Backup configurations. Always related to Eclipse. I started keeping local copies on my laptop, just in case. But I still thought it was technical issues, maybe a permissions problem. I trusted that Colton was handling it. That trust was my mistake. He wasn't fixing anything. He was systematically erasing evidence that I'd built the entire project. 2 weeks ago, everything shifted into high gear. Colton started publicly praising Didnt for breakthrough optimizations on Eclipse. In the Monday team meeting, he showed performance improvements that Didnt had supposedly achieved over the weekend. Didnt stayed until midnight Saturday, refining the query architecture, Colton announced proudly. I sat there stunned. Those weren't Didnt's optimizations. They were mine. I'd implemented them 3 months ago. I'd documented the exact changes in my weekly report. But now Didnt was taking credit, nodding modestly while everyone congratulated him. Sarah actually started clapping. Ben called it genius work. It happened again Thursday, and the following Tuesday. Each time, Didnt presented new improvements that were actually my old work. Colton would beam like a proud father, talking about Didnt's dedication and innovation. I'd swallow my anger and say nothing, watching them rebuild my project's history without me in it. They were preparing to erase me completely while making Didnt look like the brilliant architect. The plan was becoming clear, and I still hadn't done anything to stop it.
Last Wednesday, I got the email. Quick check-in with HR. Nothing serious, it said. My stomach dropped anyway. Nobody believes HR meetings are ever nothing serious. I walked into the small conference room at 2 p.m. Colton was already there, sitting next to Janet from Human Resources. He gave me that fake sympathetic smile. Mark, thanks for coming. We just wanted to touch base about some performance inconsistencies we've noticed. My chest tightened. Performance inconsistencies? I'd never missed a deadline. Never had a complaint. My work was flawless. Janet opened a folder. We've received reports that you've been struggling to keep up with project demands. Missing documentation deadlines. Communication gaps with team members. She slid a paper across the table. It was a performance improvement plan. My name at the top. A list of failures I'd never committed. I looked at Colton. He met my eyes with that same calm, concerned expression. But I saw the truth underneath. This wasn't about my performance. This was a paper trail. He was building a case to fire me, documenting reasons that didn't exist. And I'd walked right into it. What Colton didn't know, what nobody knew except me and the IT department, was that I'm paranoid about backups. It's not just good practice. It's survival instinct in a world where data disappears and managers rewrite history. Every single file I create gets version controlled. Every script, every document, every piece of Eclipse architecture. But I don't just use the shared drive or my laptop. I use the company's compliance-required shadow storage system. It's an automated backup that IT maintains for regulatory audits. Every file modification, every deletion, every change gets logged with timestamps and user IDs. Most people forget it exists. Colton definitely forgot it existed. So when my files started disappearing, they weren't really gone. They were all sitting in shadow storage, preserved forever with perfect records of who deleted them and when. And 3 days ago, when I noticed the deletions getting aggressive, I quietly contacted IT. I explained that I was missing critical project files. They pulled the backup. Every single Eclipse file I'd ever created was restored to a separate secure folder. Every deletion was traced. Every trail led straight back to Colton's user ID. He had no idea. Back in the present moment, standing in the office with everyone staring, I make a choice. I don't argue. I don't defend myself. I don't make a scene or demand explanations. I just nod quietly, pack my things, and walk toward the elevator with my head down. To everyone watching, I probably looked defeated. Humiliated. Finished. Perfect. Let Colton think he's won. Let him believe I'm too weak to fight back. Let him get comfortable in his victory. Because the truth is, I'm not scared. I'm calculating. If he wants to put on a show, I'll let him perform. I'll play the part of the confused, cooperative employee who doesn't understand what's happening. Inside the elevator, I exhale slowly. My reflection in the metal doors shows a tired guy in a wrinkled shirt carrying a laptop bag. But behind my eyes, gears are turning. Evidence is mounting. Truth is waiting. Colton threw me out of the building thinking he'd destroyed me. He has no idea that every move he made has been documented, preserved, and traced back to him. His arrogance is about to become his downfall. I just need to wait for the right moment. And that moment is coming soon. Thursday morning, I'm working from home when my phone buzzes. It's an email from the VP of Operations, Ellen Marsh. Mark, we've noticed significant data discrepancies in the Eclipse project files. Can you provide clarification on the missing documentation? My heart jumps. They've noticed. The executive team is asking questions. I forward the email to Colton per protocol, watching from home as the chaos I predicted starts to unfold. 20 minutes later, my phone rings. It's Colton, and he sounds stressed. Mark, I need you to respond to Ellen's email very carefully. Just say you're working on recovering the files. Don't mention anything about access issues or deletions. I pause, letting the silence stretch. But there were deletions, Colton. Shouldn't we be honest about what happened? His voice sharpens. Just do what I'm telling you. This is complicated, and you don't understand the full picture. I agree calmly and hang up. An hour later, I hear through the office gossip chain that Colton was called into an emergency meeting with executives. He apparently stumbled through explanations, unable to account for why critical project files were missing. Ellen kept asking specific technical questions he couldn't answer. And I heard she kept glancing at her notes, where my name appeared multiple times. Friday brings the first real crack. Dixon has to handle a client call about Eclipse performance metrics. I'm still technically suspended, so he's the only analyst available. I hear about it from Sarah, who messages me secretly. Dixon completely botched the Morgan Industries call, she writes. He couldn't explain how the data validation works. He kept saying he'd get back to them on basic architecture questions. I smile at my laptop screen. Of course he couldn't explain it. He didn't build it. He doesn't understand the logic flows or why I designed certain validation rules. He memorized some talking points Colton fed him, but under pressure he falls apart. Sarah's next message confirms it. Colton's face was bright red during the whole call. I think the client noticed Dixon had no idea what he was talking about. This is the first fracture in their alliance. Dixon isn't capable of maintaining the lie. He can present slides Colton prepares for him. He can repeat phrases he's memorized. But he can't actually do the work. And now clients are noticing. Executives are noticing. The carefully constructed story that Dixon is some brilliant architect is starting to crumble. And Colton knows it. Monday morning, I get a call from IT. Mark, can you come in? We need to go over some technical details about the file restoration. My pulse quickens. This is it. I drive to the office, taking the back entrance to avoid the main floor. Tom from IT meets me in a small conference room on the 3rd floor. He opens his laptop. Okay, so we restored everything from shadow storage like you requested. Every Eclipse file you created is now in a secure recovery folder. He turns the screen toward me. Rows and rows of files, each with a timestamp and status. Here's where it gets interesting, Tom continues. We can see every deletion. Every single file removal is logged with the user ID of whoever deleted it. He clicks through several entries. Colton's username appears again and again. May 15th, 17 files deleted. May 22nd, 34 files deleted. June 3rd, 61 files deleted. These weren't accidents or system glitches, Tom says quietly. This was systematic removal of data. And it's all traceable to one account. He looks at me seriously. This is a major compliance violation, Mark. I have to report this to management. But I wanted you to see it first. I returned to work Tuesday morning like nothing happened. My access has been quietly restored. IT made sure of that. I sit at my desk, open my email, and start catching up on messages. Across the office, I can feel Colton watching me. He's standing by Dixon's desk, but his eyes keep darting my way. He senses something shifting. He can't pinpoint exactly what, but his instincts are telling him that something isn't right. I've been too calm, too cooperative, too quiet. People who've been publicly humiliated and suspended usually come back angry or broken. I came back normal, like it was just a regular Monday. I catch his gaze once and give him a small, polite nod. His jaw tightens. He whispers something to Dixon, who glances at me nervously. They're worried. They should be. Because while they've been busy celebrating their apparent victory, the walls have been closing in. IT has reported the deletions. Executives have the restoration logs. The evidence is compiled. And nobody's told Colton yet. He's walking around thinking he's safe, not knowing that every step he takes now is being watched and documented. The storm is coming. He just can't see it yet. Wednesday afternoon, the email arrives. I'm reviewing some code when my inbox pings. It's from Ellen Marsh, VP of Operations, sent directly to me with Colton CC'd. Mark, we need you to explain the discrepancies in the Eclipse project documentation. Specifically, we need to understand the timeline of file deletions and who had access during the affected periods. I watch Colton's reaction from across the office. He stands up abruptly from his desk, staring at his screen. His face goes pale. He types furiously, probably trying to respond before I do. But Ellen's email specifically requested my response. She wants to hear from me directly, not filtered through my manager. This is the moment the tide turns. Ellen isn't asking Colton for explanations anymore. She's asking me. She wants the truth from the person who actually built the project. I take my time crafting the response, keeping it professional and factual. I don't make accusations. I don't show emotion. I just lay out what happened when it happened and attach the restoration logs Tom provided. Then I hit send. Colton's phone rings 30 seconds later. I watch him answer it, his expression shifting from confusion to panic as he listens to whoever's on the other end. Thursday morning, I'm called into a meeting with Ellen and 2 other executives. I bring my laptop, a folder of printed documentation, and the complete backup logs from IT. They've set up in the large conference room, the one usually reserved for board meetings. Ellen sits at the head of the table, flanked by Richard from legal and Susan from compliance. Mark, thank you for coming, Ellen begins. We need to understand exactly what happened with Project Eclipse. Can you walk us through the timeline? I open my laptop, connect to the projector, and begin. I show them the original file structure I created. The version history showing my authorship. The deletion logs showing systematic removal of files. Every timestamp. Every user ID. Every piece of evidence is clear, calm, and factual. I don't say Colton deleted my files. I say, these files were deleted by user ID CM 2847 on these dates. I don't say he's stealing my work. I say, the current project documentation differs from the original architecture I designed. I let the facts speak. Richard takes notes. Susan reviews the compliance logs, her expression darkening. Ellen watches the presentation in silence, her jaw tight. When I finish, she thanks me quietly. This is very thorough, Mark. We'll need some time to review everything. Friday afternoon explodes. I'm at my desk when I hear raised voices from Colton's office. His door is partially open, and his voice carries across the floor. This is ridiculous. Mark is trying to undermine me because I had to discipline him for performance issues. His voice gets louder. He's making up stories about file deletions to cover his own incompetence. Ellen's voice responds, calm but firm. I can't make out her exact words, but her tone is unmistakable. She's not buying it. Colton's voice rises higher, defensive and desperate. I have every right to manage my team's file systems. If documents were deleted, it was because they were outdated or incorrect. He's trying to justify it now, spinning a new narrative. But it's too late. Everyone on the floor has stopped working. We're all pretending to focus on our screens while listening to Colton fall apart. His carefully maintained composure is cracking. He sounds guilty. He sounds desperate. He's pointing fingers, at me, at IT, at system errors. Ellen's voice comes again, measured and cold. The conversation ends. Colton's door slams. Through the glass wall of his office, I can see him pacing, running his hands through his hair. He finally realizes he's in serious trouble. Monday morning, I'm pulled into a private meeting. This time it's just Ellen and me, in her corner office with the door closed. She gestures to a chair. Mark, I owe you an apology. We should have investigated more thoroughly before suspending your access. She sits across from me, hands folded. I need you to walk me through everything. Not just the file deletions. Everything that's been happening over the past few months. So I do. I explain the subtle freeze-out. The meetings I was excluded from. The credit redirected to Dixon. The systematic erasure of my contributions. I show her emails where I reported missing files and Colton promised to handle it. I show her the HR performance improvement plan based on false complaints. Every detail, every instance, every piece of evidence. I keep my voice steady and professional. Ellen's expression grows darker as I talk. She takes notes, asks clarifying questions, requests specific dates. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. This is much worse than we thought, she finally says. Mark, I want you to know that we take this extremely seriously. Colton's behavior represents major violations of company policy, data governance, and basic management ethics. She looks at me directly. We're launching a full investigation. This won't be swept under the rug. The investigation moves fast. Tuesday afternoon, Dixon gets called in for questioning. I hear about it from Sarah again. Office gossip travels faster than official emails. Dixon apparently lasted about 15 minutes before he broke down. He admitted everything. Colton had asked him to delete files. Colton had told him it was standard cleanup of outdated documentation. Dixon had believed him. Dixon claimed he didn't know the files were current or important. He thought he was just helping his manager organize the shared drive. When legal showed him the logs, hundreds of files deleted over multiple weeks, he went pale. I was just following Colton's instructions, he kept repeating. He said it was fine. He said Mark had already been informed. But Dixon's testimony sealed Colton's fate. It proved the deletions were deliberate, coordinated, and dishonest. It proved Colton had manipulated a junior employee into participating in his scheme. And it proved everything I'd said was true. By Wednesday morning, the entire office knows something major is happening. Colton's been in meetings with HR and legal for 2 days straight. Dixon looks terrified, barely speaking to anyone. And I'm suddenly being treated with careful respect by people who ignored me for months. Corporate Compliance launches a formal audit on Thursday. They don't just review Eclipse. They dig into everything. All of Colton's projects, his entire management history, his expense reports, his performance reviews. What they find is damning. Colton had been systematically taking credit for other people's work for over a year. Not just mine, several other analysts had contributions that mysteriously became team achievements with Colton at the center. They find emails where he directed team members to exclude certain people from meetings. Performance reviews where he downgraded people who questioned him. Expense reports where he charged personal purchases to project budgets. The audit report is devastating. Susan from Compliance shares some findings with me privately. This was a pattern, Mark. You weren't his first target. You were just the most obvious because Eclipse was so high profile. The manipulation went deeper than I'd realized. Colton had built a system where he elevated people loyal to him, like Dixon, while systematically pushing out anyone talented enough to threaten him. He'd been doing it for 18 months, ever since he got promoted to department manager. And nobody had caught on until now. Until I'd documented everything. Until Shadow Storage exposed what he'd tried to hide. Friday brings Colton's final desperate attempts. He tries charm first, sending a department-wide email praising his amazing team and talking about misunderstandings being cleared up. Nobody responds. He tries intimidation next, calling Dixon into his office and emerging 20 minutes later with Dixon looking shaken. But Dixon doesn't change his testimony. Then Colton tries throwing Dixon under the bus. In a meeting with HR, he apparently claimed Dixon acted independently, deleting files without authorization. He painted himself as a victim of an overeager junior analyst who went rogue. But the email trails contradict that story. Messages from Colton to Dixon giving specific deletion instructions. Follow-up messages confirming the work was done. Legal presents him with the evidence. His attempts to rewrite the narrative fail one by one. Each lie he tells gets immediately disproven by documentation he didn't know existed. By afternoon, he stopped talking to anyone. He sits in his office with the door closed, staring at his computer. Through the glass wall, I can see his defeat. He finally understands that there's no way out. Every escape route he tries is blocked by evidence. Truth has him cornered. Monday morning, I arrive at 8 a.m. The office is unusually quiet. At 8:30, two people from HR walk onto our floor accompanied by building security. They head straight to Colton's office. Through the glass wall, we all watch as they speak to him. His face goes through several expressions: confusion, anger, disbelief, resignation. 10 minutes later, he emerges with a small cardboard box. His personal items: a coffee mug, a framed photo, some papers. He doesn't look at anyone as he walks through the office. No farewell speech. No defiant last words. Just silence. The security guard stays close, professional but present. At the elevator, Colton turns back once, scanning the floor. His eyes find mine for a brief second. I don't gloat. I don't smile. I just meet his gaze calmly. He looks away first. The elevator doors close. We all hear the faint beep of his access badge being deactivated at the security desk downstairs. Just like that, he's gone. 3 years of work. 18 months of manipulation. All erased in one morning. But for me, the story isn't over yet. There's one more chapter to write. Tuesday afternoon, Ellen calls me into her office. "Mark, we'd like to offer you Colton's position. Department manager, with a significant salary increase and a team leadership role." She slides a formal offer letter across her desk. The numbers are impressive. The title is everything Colton had tried to keep me from achieving. My heart pounds. This is validation. Recognition. Everything he tried to steal, now being handed to me officially. I could accept this. I could take his office, lead the team, rebuild the department properly. Part of me wants to. But I've had time to think. Time to process what this company allowed to happen. How long Colton got away with his behavior. How easily I could have been erased. "Ellen, I really appreciate this offer," I say slowly. "But I need to be honest with you." Her eyebrows rise slightly. I take a breath. Another company reached out to me 3 weeks ago. I've been interviewing with them. They've made an offer, and I think I'm going to take it. The words hang in the air. Ellen's expression shifts to surprise, then disappointment. "Mark, we'd really like you to stay. We can negotiate the terms." I shake my head gently. "It's not about the money or the title, Ellen. It's about respect." For months, I watched Colton manipulate people, take credit for work he didn't do, and push out anyone who threatened him. And nobody noticed. Nobody asked questions until the damage was so obvious you couldn't ignore it. Ellen opens her mouth to respond, but I continue. "I don't blame you personally. But I've learned something important these past few weeks. I learned that my worth isn't determined by whether one manager appreciates me. I learned that good work speaks for itself, eventually. And I learned that I deserve to work somewhere that recognizes my value from the start, not just after someone tries to destroy me." I stand, leaving the offer letter on her desk. The other company knows what I can do. They've done their research. They're excited about what I can bring to their team. Here, I'll always be the guy who had to prove himself after being publicly humiliated. I'd rather start fresh somewhere that wants me from day one. Ellen nods slowly, understanding in her eyes. "I respect that, Mark. And I'm sorry we didn't see what was happening sooner." We shake hands. As I leave her office, I feel something unexpected: peace. Walking away feels better than staying ever could. My last day at Meridian is Friday. I spend the week documenting everything for whoever replaces me, organizing files, transferring knowledge. People stop by my desk all week: Sarah, Ben, even Dixon, who mumbles an apology I wasn't expecting. I accept it with grace. He was manipulated too. Monday morning, I start at my new company, Data Core Solutions. My new manager, Patricia, greets me personally. "We're thrilled to have you, Mark. Your work on Eclipse is legendary in the industry. We've got some exciting projects that could really use your expertise." She introduces me to a team that actually seems happy I'm there. I think about Colton sometimes. Not with anger, but with strange gratitude. His arrogance taught me to value myself. His attempts to erase me forced me to build evidence I didn't know I'd need. His lies revealed the truth in sharper detail than honesty ever could. He destroyed himself with his own behavior. I didn't have to bury him. I just had to document reality and let it speak. Sitting at my new desk, setting up my workspace, I realized something important. Knowing your worth is the strongest revenge you'll ever get. Not taking what you deserve from people who don't appreciate you. Not staying where you have to constantly prove yourself. But walking away from those who underestimate you. That's true victory. Colton thought locking me out would destroy me. Instead, it freed me to find where I actually belong. And that's better than any promotion at Meridian could ever be.